One.
Mass shooting right here in Baltimore and one in Philadelphia. Leadership and those in power in these cities declare it's due to guns. But is that the real reason? We're going to talk about it. Vivek Ramaswamy made the Breakfast Club hosts look like fools last week in their interview. Should Black people be embarrassed? Let's discuss it. Despite people like Whoopi Goldberg and Reid's hysteria, the Supreme Court is working as it should, and we're going to respond to their nutty comments and set the record straight. And ambivalence about celebrating the 4th of July is a big reason why our country is falling apart. If you missed the fireworks last night, don't worry, we're about to set off our own. As you all know, this show is not for the faint at heart. All this and more next. Enemy territory here. Hello. It's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have Shelly E. and Yana tonight. So the three of us are here tonight. T is on vacation. She should be back in about 2 weeks. All right. So join the conversation, as I always say, by leaving a comment on YouTube or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. Again, you guys who comment, you are our fourth co-host, and we love it. We always include you guys in on our discussion. So please comment and share this broadcast. Share it in a DM or on your social media. Again, we love that. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Also, if you like independent media and want to support what we do, donate. Yes, any amount is appreciated. You can do that on our website at www.popandpoliticslive.com. We also appreciate our super chatters on YouTube. We love you guys. We're all starting to form this family of people here. And so thank you so much for your support. And I hope you enjoy this broadcast. So again, we are about to set it off, ladies. How are you all doing? How was your 4th of July?
It was good.
Good.
It was great. Yeah, we always have a nice celebration here in the neighborhood. So that's really nice to see people come together for that.
Yeah, I love it too. Got together with some of my family. So it was a good time. All right. So before we get into the 4th of July festivities, we're starting off tonight talking about the mass shooting that occurred in Baltimore City on Sunday morning. Before we get it, we do have a guest with us tonight. Before I introduce him, I want you to take a look at this news clip. This is clip number 2 that talks about what occurred.
WJZ continues to stay on top of the mass shooting in Baltimore's Brooklyn neighborhood. This is the surveillance video we promised you at the top of the show. This came from a neighbor who lives on 8th Street, which is right around the corner from where the shooting started. You can see dozens of people running through the streets to escape. Once again, 2 people are dead. 9 more remain in the hospital after a total of 30 people were shot in the area. You can count on WJZ to continue covering this story for you and bring you updates as we get them.
All right, so this has made national news. This was one among many mass shootings that occurred over the last couple of days. This one was, of course, in Baltimore, right here where we all live. Joining us tonight, we have Sam. Sam was actually there during the mass shooting, and he is a longtime resident. He grew up in Brooklyn homes where this occurred. And so he's going to give us some insight on exactly what happened and how can we stop this type of violence. Thank you so much for joining us, Sam. Oh, can you hear us? think he's frozen there. Let's see. May have some technical difficulties. We'll try to get him back. But while we're working through that, I want to play this clip also. This is a clip of what the crowd that was there for this mass shooting. This is clip number 1. Take a look at that. Money coming in all kind of ways. That's the main reason why we even use the account. If I can get to some walk, point, I'll go pay. I'll make it through. I got a gun in the front seat, gun in the back seat, shot in the edge seat. Why would you tell me you love me? You know that I'm loving you. You know my head through shit. Why would you tell me you trust me? You know what I'm telling you. You gotta be careful. I was on Cartier Sega, so that's my way. So as you guys can see, massive crowd there. They said there was over 1,000 people in this shooting. 2 people died, 30 people were injured. Do we have Sam here yet? Is he able to connect back in there? Okay,
we're working on it, KJ. We're working on it.
Okay. Want to open it up to you, ladies. As you know, we had the mayor shed some light on this. People have been talking in leadership all over the city and state. The governor actually voiced his opinion on it. What are your first thoughts on this, Shelley, of what occurred?
Well, outside of the tragic lives that were lost and injured, from our politicians' perspective, or from my perspective regarding our politicians, they're not giving us the full story.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I want to get you in on this, Yana. You saw like multitude of people, 2 people shot. One was a high schooler, just graduated high school from Glen Burnie High School. She was about, I believe, 16 or 17 years old. What are your thoughts on what occurred?
That's really sad. Like this happened 15 minutes from where I live. And I actually heard, when I first woke up that morning, I heard this news from my brother who was visiting from Europe, and people in Europe were talking about it because it did make international news. And my first thought is there were so many people. There were like 200 people. And as far as I know, they still haven't found out who did it.
No.
So no. How is this possible? I don't get it. How come nobody is saying anything, what they saw, what they know about this? 30 people injured? Come on. Like, why aren't people talking?
Right. Well, I wanted to get Sam in on this because he was actually there and he has some really good response to that. Oh, here he is. Sam. So yes, we had some technical difficulties. Thank you so much for joining.
That's all on my end. You know, I'm out here in Canada.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I want to get your thoughts on this, Sam. Now we were just talking about. Yana had a really good question. We showed the video. Hundreds, almost, it looks like 1,000 people were there at this Brooklyn Day event. This is something that happens every year. So first off, what are your thoughts on what transpired? What happened there? Can you go over what happened?
Well, the main thing, it wasn't no police there. That's all it takes, is just one police car just to be sitting there. None of it would have happened. Mm-hmm. Right, the helicopter came out there and flashed the lights. So they know people was out there. So, that's all you had to do is sit a car out there. Nobody would have done nothing. It was just an adrenaline rush. Just kids just basically, being kids, but not, they just just drinking a little too much. Mm-hmm. So that don't mix with just basically with no police. You can just have police there. That's what it is. We have every time we have it, it's police there. Nothing happened.
Right, because this is something that's happened for how many years?
Well, it been passed down. So when we played baseball, we was up on the baseball field playing softball. Everybody up there playing basketball or something. And as time went on, generation changed. They just been like a Project X, like that one movie. So it been like that. So that's the first time anything happened ever since we had in the transition with them having it. So, and to be honest, that wasn't even Brooklyn Day. That was just a whole bunch of people just gathered in one spot. They just social media. It's crazy. All you gotta do is write something on social media. Oh, that everybody going there.
Sam, historically, has the Brooklyn Day committee or organizers, have they applied for a permit?
Oh, I don't even know. You know, I just show up, say hi, eat a burger, and I'm gone. You know?
Right. Now, I know we were talking offline a little bit about this because the mayor is saying, you know, that this is due to gun violence. And so where are these kids getting these guns?
Sure. Well, there ain't no gun manufacturer, you know, in their hood, anything like that. You know where they live at, so we can say that. So right. it's. But there's who knows? You can get anything nowadays. You know, they got the 3D printers. You know, they got everything. Who knows? They can make them. You can get the pieces. So, you know, people take time out and do that, and hey, they come up with guns. Everybody doing it.
So the mayor and the police chief, they're all saying that they didn't know about this until maybe, I don't know, a couple of hours or so before the actual shootings. I don't tend to believe that.
It was a helicopter right there during the daylight. So it's not like you seen, you know, the people disappeared. Like, you know, the police rolled right down, you know. So, you know, come on now, you can hear a lot of people in the area. You know, like, you know, it's come on.
Can you describe?
You mean tell me no police are patrolling the area from 12 to 12:45? That don't make sense, do
it? No, it doesn't. Can you?
Somebody call 911 on the phone or something. My cat stuck in a tree. Something. Police pulling up somewhere.
Can you describe what it was like there? I mean, were you there when the gun violence started? And if so, can you?
I just heard the shots. You know, I was in safe haven. I already removed myself from that situation because it wasn't a Brooklyn Day to me. It was basically, you know, just everybody get together and just like Woodstock, a modern day Woodstock, but just with guns. You know.
So some people characterized. They said hundreds of bullets were flying. Is that accurate? Do you to that?
Oh, so, hey, maybe when you hear boom, 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 a lot of times, I guarantee they bank bullets behind them boom. So
what are people saying? Do people have any idea who did it?
All them people, heck no. You know, nobody know nothing. You know, nobody see that. It's too many people.
Nobody saw. Nobody saw the shooter.
It's just like a stampede.
Right.
You know, things get ran over. You don't know who ran over that you know, that person or that's, you know, like I say, I was out of there, but
Sam,
you know, who knows?
Two questions. What does safe streets? What are they supposed to do? That's number one. And is there any talk about were the shooters targeting certain people or were they just randomly, indiscriminately shooting?
Well, Safe Street, they're not the police, so you can't expect, you know, too much for them, and they don't have a helicopter, so the police didn't know they was out there. So Safe Street, they could just be walking past, and I don't even think they was on duty around 12:30 at night anyway. You know, 12 a.m. So I don't know why they keep talking about Safe Street because they should have been asleep. But it's like I said, it's a crazy.
Were the shooters targeting certain people and other people were just collateral damage, or were they just?
When you got a lot of people, and there's no way. It's like people just a lot of people probably shoot in the air, you know, because it was just so many people. So if somebody just is shooting, they even running shooting or
they were just shooting.
So you really don't. You can't really see when people running all over the place. You know, you just hear the shots.
So you were saying that they were shooting for no reason. They were just shooting in the air just to make noise?
A lot of shots was in the air. A lot of people that was down there, so they were shooting at, you know, you could see the roof all shot up. So somebody was shooting in the air. So I guess shooting in the air just gave the drilling and somebody else shooting and everybody just started shooting, I guess. I don't know.
What about the curfew? Because a lot of these people were teenagers that were involved. I think a lot of the ones that were injured, And we're supposed to have this curfew in Baltimore right now going on. I think, what is it, 10 o'clock you have to be in if you're 18 and under, or under 18?
I don't even know, but hey, it's like I said, if they have that curfew and they was, enforcing it, the police were, like I said, it was a helicopter out there when I was out there, so, and there was a lot of people out there then, so the police just dropped the ball on it, just,
Right.
I wouldn't even say them about
you said Safe Streets they probably were not out there that late, but the reports are that Safe Street was there earlier, and they de-escalated some other incidents earlier in the day, but they did not report them to the police. Can you talk to that?
And that's why I keep saying the helicopter was out there too. Mm-hmm. So if something was going on,
the helicopter was there during the day.
It was basically around, I'm gonna say around like 8, maybe 7 or 8. It was still daylight a little bit, but it was still a lot of people out there. Mm-hmm. So if something did escalate whatever, it didn't happen when I was out there.
Right.
I didn't see nothing like that.
Right. And I want to talk about, the shortage in police. There is a massive shortage of police presence in Baltimore, and on the police force. So do you think that had anything to do with the lack of police presence there this year?
You want to know the truth?
Yeah.
Everybody's on TikTok. You walk past a police sitting in his car. He's like this. I do it all the time. Look at him, I'm like, what the heck? They on TikTok. Everybody's on TikTok. So you got your head down. You just trying to do your 8 to 10 hours, and you out of there. That's a lot of opportunity for just, things going to happen, but I just see a lot of police in their phone. They on TikTok.
People are reporting they weren't even there. I mean,
the helicopter was there, so that's the police, and a car did ride past that. It was a police car.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't come out to patrol.
I don't know why. Like that's so. It don't make sense. Like I say, it don't make sense because, like I say, every other book was there. There's a police presence.
Right. Okay. And we know that, and I mentioned at the top of the hour, there was, two people died. One was a young girl, just graduated from Glen Burnie High School. Has anyone reached out to her parents, or do you know her at all?
No, I don't even know. They, like I say, that's a different age group. Mm-hmm. When I went there, I see people I know, and we all ghosts. We was out of there. We got to go to work tomorrow. So we was out of there.
Sam, I got a question. I have a question, not about that event in particular, but in the community, in the Black community in Brooklyn, do they even want police there? Period.
I mean, yeah, everybody. We all need the police. I don't care like who you is. Everybody need the police. You're gonna, something happens to you on the street, you get hurt. Police. It's. I don't know. It's hard to explain because we spend a lot of money on other countries and stuff like that. Why not just build substations in communities that are high crime? Because as long as you got police present,
yeah.
People I ain't doing that. The police thing.
Let me ask you this. Why do you think, maybe from the street perspective, why do you think there are not more people applying to become police officers?
Oh, that's a that's a tricky question. Like, it's a lot of other jobs out there, and police, that's a stressful job right there. I ain't gonna lie. Like, just by me looking at them, it's like you could tell they not even into it. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's too much politics in it, and like, who's really trying to make a difference nowadays? It's like it's all about everybody living paycheck to paycheck. So if you get your paycheck and you like, man, I got 30 hours left. Now you gotta go to work and patrol the streets, and you gotta go to somebody's house with domestic. You gotta go with this, that, and it's a stressful job, especially if you ain't living right. So I look at a lot of police officers right now just living paycheck to paycheck, and they just like, look, I ain't got time for it. Like I say, everybody's in their phone nowadays. You go anywhere. You're in the store. You in the line. Click she on her phone. Oh, you ready? You know, everybody on their phone.
All right, and I know one thing. Some people reported that a lot of these attendees at this event had 3D guns. Do you notice that, or do you think that's an issue within the area?
I do know I heard about the little 3D machine and how they do it. I don't really know, the ins and out of it, but it's easy to get. You got the NRA, you got gun shows, you can go. It's America. We got more guns than everybody in this world. Like, so you can't really say how they getting the guns. You gotta be like, like, why are they getting the guns? And
I got one more question, Sam. You talking about the young people? Okay, young people were there, and of course, many of them were shot. Some of them were murdered. How are the young people getting to these places? Because I can't do all those people there. I'm sure they don't live in Brooklyn or the Brooklyn homes. How do they get there? I'm just trying to think. All of them don't work. So who's bringing them to these events? How are they getting there?
Lyft and Uber.
Who's paying for it?
But that's nothing. You can scrape up like $30. The Baltimore, like, to get there, it's only like probably about Cherry Hill, like West. It's probably like the average to get there from anywhere in Baltimore City is about $32, $23 for Lyft or Uber. And then people carpool. If it's 6 people, somebody have a car. People everything's on the internet. Right. So if it's jumping on the internet, this is where everybody gonna be. This is where everybody gonna be. This is where everybody gonna be. And they say everybody's gonna be at the Capitol. Everybody be at the Capitol that day. It's all about the internet. All right. That's all it is. Ain't nobody call. Hey, you going to Brooklyn Day? Hey, you going to Brooklyn Day? I'll never go to Brooklyn Day again. Unless we gonna have it on the baseball field. We gonna play baseball like we used to do.
Sam, whose responsibility is this for what happened? How would you assess who is responsible for this tragedy?
I would say the police.
So not the shooters.
I'm saying that people going to, like, we not going to. We can't stop that. But if we had a police presence,
I want to hear. Go ahead. Finish this. We can't stop them, but what?
You can't stop that. Like, everybody's shooting. Somebody's going to shoot. Everybody have a gun. Legal guns, illegal guns. Everybody have a gun. If a police presence would have been there, like it was every time we had it, and it wasn't even rowdy. They just had it, just walk through. Hey, let me get a hot dog. Police get a hot dog, something like that.
Why are people shooting at each other?
Why are people shooting at all?
Well, that's my question. Why?
I don't know. Like, you got to answer that for the whole world.
Do people in Brooklyn or Baltimore hate each other?
I don't. That's a.
Well,
the lowest I don't really,
I mean, I'm talking about the community involvement, because you keep talking about the police. The police is something outside of the community, especially since
that's the problem. Outside of the community, it's supposed to be inside of the community.
Right, and you're saying that people in the community don't even want to be in the police force. So it's like, where's the community?
The people that's in the police force is not even from the community.
Exactly. But we had asked you about it, and you said people from the community do not want to be in the police force. So where is the community? Why is there such a breakdown of community in Baltimore?
I can't. That's I guess that's society. I don't know. I can't answer that question. Some people can, some people do. Some people shoot, some people don't shoot. I don't know, but I do know if a police presence was there, we wouldn't be talking about no shooting right now.
But then people complain. But then we hear people complaining about too much police. Then.
But not only who complained to you about too much police? Who called you?
We hear it on the media all the time. Defund the police was one of the biggest slogans.
Yeah, of course. You ever heard of propaganda? Like that's what it is. People, it's all what you choose to believe. If you believe.
I'm not saying that everyone believes that, but that's what we hear. And the politicians that most people in Baltimore vote for want to remove the police or defund the police.
Yeah, but that's what you say we here, but you gotta like really get into the community. You know, like let's just walk around. And I bet if you walk
Well,
around, you'll start
are the
understanding more. You'll understand more.
So do
Walk
Baltimore
around North
politicians?
Avenue, Pennsylvania Avenue, Brooklyn Avenue, Patagonia
Yeah.
Avenue. I'm just saying, just go for a stroll,
So
and
did
you'll feel what needs to be
I'm
done.
not a lawmaker in Baltimore. How about the
No,
mayor?
you're a human though.
Does the mayor go into the communities in Baltimore and ask questions? Does he do that?
I'm talking about you.
No,
You vote.
I
You the
don't make
voter.
the laws.
You the voter, right?
I
I'm
don't
talking about
make.
you. You the voter. You vote for
Sure.
the mayor, the
We
governor,
talk
the
to people
president.
all the time. We talk to you. But the people in power, we didn't vote for them. I didn't vote for them.
Well, you voted for somebody, right?
Not for the ones who are in power.
Yeah.
I
So
know, but you did
Sam,
vote though.
basically, my last question would be, how can we stop these young people from slaughtering each other? Any thoughts?
You want? But I think, hey, all that money they shipping to Ukraine and all the war, just put it in the community. Find a way. Don't just put it in nobody's hand. Instead of building the jails, giving, the jails, tablets and stuff like that, so they can be comfortable in jail. At some point in time, hey, should I go to jail? I got a tablet. I could be on social media. You know, start having programs for kids. Put God back in the school. That's the number one thing. Put God back in the school. If you do that, people know right from wrong and understand if you do wrong, where you go at. So
All
let's
right.
start from there. If you want to, how can we stop it? Let's start from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Sam. I'm happy that you made it out safely and was unharmed. We'll continue to follow this story. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
No problem. No problem.
All right.
Y'all be easy.
Okay. You too. All right. So that was Sam. He was actually at the shooting that day, at the mass shooting. He's lived in that area for many years. So we wanted to get kind of a response from someone that actually was there. I want to play this clip. This is clip number 3 from the mayor responding to the event.
Police think there were at least 3 guns involved in this mass shooting. Do you yet know whether the guns were legal? And I know that this has been a huge issue for you. Ghost guns, getting them out of circulation, that is what you were alluding to in your remarks in the press conference where you talked about a 14-year-old being able to order pieces to put a gun together.
Yeah, I think, Simone, we don't know yet. We know that there are multiple weapons. We're going to be going back through working with our partners at ATF and making sure that we're seeing exactly how many weapons were used, were they used in the commissions of other crimes, which we always get those hits and see that these weapons are used in crimes not just here in Baltimore, but we get guns that were used in crimes in other cities and other states that end up here as well. We do know that ghost guns are a big problem, not just here in Baltimore, but across this country. Maryland itself, we banned ghost guns, and guess what? We banned ghost guns a few years ago, and ghost gun recoveries are down for us here in Baltimore this year. But we still know that guns here tend to come from other states. We recover more weapons, Simone, that come from other states every year than here in Maryland because of Maryland's gun laws. And we have to have that conversation. There should not be. And then you're talking to someone who's the grandson of a pig farmer from North Carolina. I first learned how to shoot my granddaddy's shotgun when I was 10 years old. If folks are owning guns the right way, that's their prerogative, that's their American right. But we're talking about 14, 15-year-olds, people that are prohibited from having guns, being able to go on a website, order pieces of a gun together and put it together. And the company knowingly is doing that because they are knowingly going around gun laws. And those weapons are being used in cities and towns and areas across this country every day. Congress should ban them right now. That shouldn't even be a discussion with the amount of mass shootings that we had this year.
So that was the mayor of Baltimore, like many of these politicians, talking about banning guns again. I want to get your thoughts on that, Shelley.
Well, this is the same script every time these mass shootings unfortunately occur. But guess what, Brandon Scott? Their SB1, you and your friend Wes Moore, the SB1 bill that targeted legal gun owners. Those are not legal gun owners that are murdering people. Those are not legal gun owners that were down there in Brooklyn and Philly, Shreveport, Louisiana, DC. They weren't legal gun owners killing people just randomly, indiscriminately slaughtering people. Those are your people, your towns. You Democrats are running these cities across the country where people are literally dying. Our streets are full of blood, and it's on you and your ilk. Don't blame us. Don't blame the gun. Blame the people that you refuse to lock up, that you have so much sympathy for in all these wraparound services. They wrapped around so damn much, you might as well put them in bubble wrap. They're not doing anything.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this, Yana. I mean, the Baltimore Banner newspaper said, quoted, saying, Baltimore's acting police commissioner made a surprising admission on Monday, calling his department's lack of presence at the large weekend gathering in South Baltimore, in which 30 people were shot, 2 of them fatally, an intelligence failure. So here we have the mayor saying, pushing this ban on ghost guns, and they're clearly saying the police were not there to do law and order. What are your thoughts here?
Well, the mayor doesn't want to take responsibility. So he's again looking at other states. Okay, the situation is, don't look here. Basically, he doesn't want people to investigate, to look what happened. And so if there was lack of police presence, lack of knowledge of what might happen at these events. I mean, that looks like a massive, massive event. So there should have been police present, like even knowing what is being planned, what is going on, what are these people doing? Are there any gangs that are, gathering over there? So how come they don't know this? Like, it boggles my mind. If this event happens all the time, and the police should know what types of people might be there and who they should be on the lookout for. So of course, Brandon Scott, he doesn't want to talk about it because then people will criticize him for lack of oversight. And so of course he needs to blame the rest of the states. What do other states have to do with what happens here?
Right. And the one thing I just don't understand why they keep talking about this, again, President Biden was talking about it as well, is most criminals don't buy guns by legal means. So regulation isn't going to help this. Gun violence and violent crime is, generally in urban areas, and it's done, or it's done by gangs. So they should target gangs. But what happens when they target gangs? Then they're accused, because of the disproportionate amount of people that are Black that are arrested and charged, they're accused of profiling or racial discrimination. So that's it's like this. They never get to the bottom of it because they're always talking about guns when it's not really the issue. The issue.
I'll give you one regulation. I'll give you one regulation that probably could have eliminated this happening. Since there was no permit, right, in the city, and I don't know the ordinance number or whatever, but in the city, when you have X number of people or more, you have to have a permit, right? If there was no permit and the Foxtrot helicopter saw those people gathering, then the police should have been there to shut it down, period. They should have shut it down earlier. And then if we had more police officers, we're short some 500 plus officers anyway, but if we had the officers to go in there and shut it down, it would not have happened. Now, I'm saying all that to say, and I don't want to negate this, the people who shot the other people, they are the pieces of shit, okay? They caused murder, mayhem, grief, all kinds of pain and trauma. They are responsible for their actions, but the mayor and the commissioner and Wes Moore won't call them out. Why? Because they look like you and me, KJ, so they're going to talk about all these damn wraparound services. They are wrapped tighter than bologna in the supermarket, okay? They're wrapped tighter than the bacon that you got to damn near cut open to get out. How many wraparound services are they going to have? And if they got so many services, how come they're not working?
Well, they're reactionary. So instead of them preventing crime and having a police presence, now one thing, I know we had some comments about Sam, but one thing he did say that kind of made sense to me. They've had this event year after year after year. The police presence was there. That is a deterrent of people shooting and crime. I did talk to him offline. He didn't mention this today, but he mentioned before that, in the past when police were there were nobody, weren't people drinking openly and brandishing guns and things like that. But this year, because the police were not there, then people were drinking outwardly in the public. There were people brandishing guns, multiple people brandishing guns throughout the night.
Well, but that's also amazing to me that as you're saying, multiple people were brandishing guns and nobody's talking. What happened? Who was brandishing guns? Who brought the guns in?
I do know that they had mentioned there were reports there were about over 200 bullets that were flying. We did have,
but there were like hundreds of people, so there has to be someone they have friends, they're buddies. I've been to big parties, and we know what happens. There has to be someone. So that's another thing. You cannot just put all the responsibility on the police,
right?
The community, the people who are there, if they want more oversight, why aren't they overseeing it themselves?
Yeah, I agree. Again, that's reactionary because we're talking about after the fact. To me, it should have been more deterrence there. There should have been a police presence there. We had the curfew that was supposed to be in effect. I believe most of the people that were injured were underage. So we had a lot of underage kids here.
And where are the parents?
I
do want to say one thing about the mayor, his commentary real quick, that he was naming all of these red states that the guns come to Baltimore from. They go to these states. But see, that was a sleight of hand. Some of the states may be red states, but the cities where the slaughter is happening are run by Democrats. They might be blue states, but their streets run red with the blood of the innocent victims.
Right. Well, we do have to move on. There was also a mass shooting in Philadelphia. So I was actually there this weekend covering the Moms for Liberty summit. And I did have an interaction with some of the protesters out front. There were a lot of LGBT protesters there. Most of them actually were. So it was very, uncomfortable for me to hear about this mass shooting that occurred Monday night. So again, this is a lady, trans woman, 40-year-old, has been hit with a slew of murder in Philadelphia, charged with allegedly opening fire with an AR-15 style rifle in the city's working class Kensington neighborhood on Monday night. So again, I believe 5 people were killed, multiple injured. Again, this is another mass shooting. What's going on here? This is another trans activist. Again, we had this I believe it's in Tennessee earlier in the year. Now what's going on? Start with you, Shelley.
It's the same thing. Number one, these people they talk about mental illness. They have mental illness, but I'm still going to say they're evil. They are pieces of shit. That's what I'm going to keep using from now until the cows come home. They literally get away with murder. And now these trans people, whatever that means, but these trans people are going to get away with it because they're going to garner the sympathy, and anyone who says anything about them are going to be called transphobic and homophobic. No, people are murder phobic. They don't want their loved ones slaughtered, particularly for no damn reason, just because they happen to go to a school or be at an event. This is Democrat run BLM, defund the police, lives don't matter foolishness.
Right. Well, and again, this man who believed he was a woman was a BLM activist. So they did show that. I want to get your final thoughts on this, Yana. This trans activist mass shooting in Philadelphia, killing 5 people.
People hate. Like I mentioned, it seems like there's so much hate. Americans are hating each other. They do not, especially people on the left, and people like trans people. And I'm glad that this news article wrote that this is a gun man that was shooting people. And so there's so much hate coming from the left. They hate themselves. They hate the country. They don't know what they even want out of life, and they're mentally sick. So this is not surprising that this is happening, that the left is feeding mental illness, and these people are not getting proper help and proper treatment, and just spiritually completely lost. So it's absolutely not surprising that this is happening in so many communities.
Yeah, and speaking of the left and being lost, we're going to move on to the Breakfast Club. So recently, the Breakfast Club had on there Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, of course, is running for president on the Republican side. He's a Republican candidate running for president in 2024. He's actually right behind. He's running third right now. Of course, Trump is in the lead, and then we have Ron DeSantis, and then Vivek is third in line for the Republican presidential nominee. So he was on the Breakfast Club. For those of you guys who may not know, the Breakfast Club is an urban radio station show that appears on YouTube, and it's out. They hail right out of New York City, featuring Charlamagnethagod and then DJ Envy are the hosts. Big draw for urban people, and so Vivek was on there, and this was just a total ambush. Take a look at the questions. I mean, they asked him some of the dumbest questions I've ever seen asked of a presidential candidate. I want you guys to take a look at this. This is clip number 5.
Anybody who's not a white male really stand a chance of being a Republican?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that there's
they don't seem like they're open to that kind of diversity.
I'll be honest with you.
Anybody who's not a white male really stand a chance of being a Republican?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that there's
they don't seem like they're open to that kind of diversity.
I'll be honest with you. I travel the country. I have not really experienced meaningful racism from grassroots conservative audiences for the last, several years that I've been, since I stepped down from my business career. That was a different world I was in. But for my book tours and everything else, and then now for this campaign, traveling the country, it's funny. That's the impression that you get from the media, meeting people from Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, New Hampshire. I don't see that at all. In fact, I just see a hunger for substance, ideas, what's actually going to make the country better. I'm very encouraged by that.
So that's how they open the show. Why can a non-white guy win? I want to start off with you, Shelley, and get your thoughts on his question and his answer. You are a non-white guy. You're a non-white woman. What's your reaction when you hear people who talk about that, talk about Black people or minorities within the conservative or Republican Party? What do you think he responded well?
I would have liked to have him to have come off a little bit stronger, but he did pick it up in the rest of the interview. But what I thought when I heard that, I said, "Oh my gosh, I used to think that there were no dumb questions. I canceled that. After this, canceled that. This was the dumbest use of time for a presidential candidate. It was embarrassing. Charlamagne the God is sitting there on a multi-million-dollar platform, and this is what he uses his time for. This is why Black people, by and large, are still on the Democrat plantation. This is why. We are our own worst enemies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. This is a question that a lot of leftists and Democrats ask. And first of all, it was a dumb question because right now, I believe the Republicans have more diversity on their ticket than the Democrats do, and it happened in 2020 as well. I believe was it 2016 when Trump was running? You had Ben Carson, you had. Now we have you had a lot of people of color running. I think more on our side than it was on the Democrat side. So I don't understand that.
And they call them tokens. They call them tokens when they're on there.
We have Tim Scott now. We have Larry Elder. Yana, what are your thoughts here on that?
I mean, this is embarrassing. That question was so embarrassing and just so, it was cringy to watch. And it's true, even CNN reported that the Republicans are right now have the most diverse presidential candidates. And so Democrats have Biden. I mean, come on. And it's just so embarrassing. And it's to see Vivek trying to talk to them like they're intelligent human beings. These are not intelligent human beings who are asking questions like that. These are pawns. They are talking heads for the left. They were told to, or this is what the program, this is the programming that's running in the left in the Democrat Party to keep pushing this Republicans are racist narrative. So they will just ask that at any moment that they can without doing any research whatsoever, without looking, without even listening. They didn't care what he had to say.
Right. How about go to a Trump rally or a conservative event and see how you are handled? You know, I talked to, and those who had watched the footage that we posted at the Moms for Liberty Summit this weekend, you know, the contrast from being inside the summit and then outside on the street with the protesters was just mind-blowing. You know, inside you have this Moms for Liberty Summit of women. It was, you know, there were different cultures, different races there, different ethnicities of people there. And they were just about, you know, talking about caring for the children and protecting the children from sexualization and things like that. Outside, I couldn't even walk down the sidewalk without these leftist trans activists blocking me and being very aggressive. They wouldn't even talk. I tried to have a conversation with them to ask them about some of the signs that they were holding. They didn't want to go into any type of conversation. So this is your inclusivity. This is your so much tolerance. They're not tolerant at all. And, and this right there goes to show you. I want to move on to the next clip here. This is clip number 6. Take a look at this questioning.
Did you take any leadership role in middle school, high school, class president?
I did.
I know you played tennis. What is it? Explain it to us.
Student council. But, you know, I think that this is yes, I've held leadership roles over my life, but those don't qualify me to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it kind of does. Okay, well, it kind of does. Well, I'm giving the test. I'm the test administrator.
All right, there you go.
So it kind of does, because when you go from saying I want to go to the highest office,
and I'll tell you, I've led companies as well. Is the other leader?
Right,
the main leadership role I've played is and I want to talk about one early part of your premise that I also want to say, to bring it to the country point. The other point, you use the word sitting around. You know, I'm not somebody who's saying I want the next generation, my kids' generation, to have more civic duties when they graduate from high school and college than I did when I did. That being said, I wasn't sitting around. I've developed medicines, 5 of which are FDA-approved products today, one of which is a life-saving therapy in kids, 20 of whom die by the age of 3 if they're not treated, 70% of whom now live lives of a normal duration. Another one for prostate cancer. So I don't apologize for making contributions. But
well, I don't want you to filibuster that
no worries.
Because that's not the question that I asked. And I don't consider, as a veteran, I'm talking about service. I'm not talking about what you
Civic
did for
service.
profit. I'm not talking about what you paid people to do with your company.
So
I'm not talking about
I've not served the country
because that
in the way
means
you
nothing
have.
to me.
You do
what I'm
realize
talking,
she hasn't been able to ask a question. She's been trying to ask a question, and you've been talking over her.
I'm all ears.
We gave you the platform to let you say.
I'm all defensive.
I'm all ears. No, I was just correcting a couple facts.
She hasn't had a chance to ask
all.
a question yet. Every time she tries to ask a question, you've been cutting her off. Go ahead,
I'm all ears.
Right. So your question. So my question again is: you're trying to your goal is to raise the standard, and you're saying you want people to believe in country, and you want people to have civic engagement. Yeah. And sir, I just find it very telling that you haven't had any civic engagement at all, and haven't been at all. And when I say sit around, I don't mean you haven't done anything. I'm talking about in regards to service. Because one thing about political office, the same way that you want to change how people look at politics and look at this country, I want to change how people look at politicians. And when I see that someone hasn't did anything at all to be of service to mankind, to take a leadership role. It's not good enough to just be on city student council. Were you a leader? All of that applies. Have you been able to get anybody in the room at any time, from a high school gymnasium to Ohio, Republican leadership there to now? Have you been able to get anybody in a room to believe in this vision? I don't agree with a lot of your vision statement, but I do know you've been going around having these discussions and getting everybody emotionally worked up to talk about vision and debate. But I want to get to the practical. You're trying to go go from preschool to president of the United States. You're skipping over city council, county council, mayor, governor. You want to go straight to the top. So my question is this a PR? Is this for the PR, the perception of reality? Or can you point to any leadership where you've been able to get people to believe in what you're talking about that they're not paid to do on any of these vision statements that you have? If not, then to me, it's a moot point, because you're holding a standard that you haven't met yourself.
So if you're only going to count government service, you're absolutely
no, not government
right.
service.
Okay.
Student council in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th. Were you a leader? Did you do anything to rally anybody? Did you fight for better lunch? I did in the 6th grade with Miss Harris.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about government. I can go all the way back from the 5th grade every year, sir, because people who are in service to this country, if you're going to go around saying you want people to believe in this country that I signed up to die for, then I want to make sure that you're holding that same standard. So not government, not political. Let's not get it confused. Yeah. I'm saying, have you did anything of service that we can point to say he is a good leader, like Chris? And I'm not even a fan of Chris Christie, but he was the student council president in high school. So have you done anything of service besides yourself that has not benefited yourself? It's just a simple question.
What? Oh, nasty bitch. What a nasty bitch.
Oh my gosh.
Let me just say this before we get in. First, Vivek Ramaswamy, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, a nationally ranked tennis player and the valedictorian of his high school, St. Xavier, he went on to graduate summa cum laude in biology from Harvard and received his JD from Yale Law School while working at a hedge fund. He then started a biotech company where he oversaw the development of 5 drugs that went on to become FDA approved. And this is just a small snapshot of what this man has done. And they are asking him what he did in
8th grade.
8th grade. Let me see. So saving children's lives, curing prostate cancer, that doesn't compare. You have to have been a student council president. That's more important. She's ignorant, okay? This is embarrassing. She's embarrassing as a woman, as a Black woman, and she's talking about her service. Guess what, sweetheart? When you were in the military, you didn't sign up to volunteer. You got a paycheck at least twice a month. So it wasn't like you were giving away your free time either, sweetheart. I did the same thing, and I would not have gone in there had I not been paid for my service too, which I'm proud of. Thank you. And all the other people who have served. So I'm not discounting your service, but don't wear it like you just did it because you volunteered straight out of high school or the student council president.
Exactly. Yana, I want to get your thoughts on this. I mean, that line of questioning, I mean, did it make her look like an idiot, or are we crazy?
It was unbelievable. I can't even, what is she talking about? He's talking about the accomplishment, the things that he actually accomplished. And she's saying that means nothing. And see, he created medicine that saves lives. That means nothing. But what you did in elementary school as what? And so, but you know what I'm feeling from this, from what I'm sensing, why she's speaking like this. This is communist, Marxist talking points. That what you do as a business owner doesn't matter for communists, because they don't believe that capitalism should be part of this society. So that is why she attacked him like this, because they don't care about this. He is the bourgeoisie that the Marxists fight against, the owners of enterprise. And so they hate people like this. You have to be, an activist. You have to be like what Obama, whatever he was doing, a community activist and whatever, rallying people up so they can demand more tax money, demand the rich to be taxed more. She mentioned something about free lunch or whatever. That is, what communists, what socialists would do, and that's what she was looking for. So if he hasn't done socialist activities, then from her point of view, he doesn't qualify to be a politician.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. And she's measuring his value to society based on who he lined up or signed up to be in government or
exactly
in student council. It makes no sense. This man has created jobs. He's created drugs to assist and help people. He's done so many things that, in contrast, when she was trying to ask him these questions, it makes no sense. It means nothing.
Exactly. What he did was he got people, like you said, jobs, KJ. He didn't have people on the government tit. So therefore, they're not valuable because they're not relying on the government. Like Yana said, you can't get taxes from them. The only service that matters is your government service. Mind you, she still was paid for hers.
Yeah. We do have to move on. This is clip number 7.
There's a different worldview that we have. And I think the worldview is how one actually makes contributions in a country. I do not believe that there's a separate category of just if you're serving the country and then if you're acting in self-interest, that that's somehow sinful or wrong. I reject that vision. To the contrary, I think capitalism is the best system known to man to lift people up from poverty. I deeply respect and I thank you for your service to this country. I'm grateful for it. I haven't served the country in the way that you have. But I think that the way you get ahead in capitalism, how did I develop a multi-billion-dollar biotech company? It was by developing medicines that save people's lives.
A lot of people say capitalism causes poverty.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with that. I think that capitalism demands that you provide something to someone that helps them more than you're actually charging them for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand. These people, and I say these people, this was embarrassing. This was embarrassing. And I challenge you all to go and watch the full show because the level of stupidity can't even be captured in these clips. Okay, watch the full show of these hosts. These are the people that the Democrat Party prances around. Biden came on there. He had Cardi B interview him. And it feels like the Black community fall in line and fall for this crap. It's embarrassing. And what he said was absolutely correct. You know, we live in a capitalist society. You get out here, you work hard, and you do something with your life. You'll be rewarded for it. But
and these people and the Breakfast Club, they made money in capitalism. If
Sean
this
was there with a gold chair, that's he got capitalist ways that he's earning his money. Come on, this is stupid.
And if he was living in the socialist society, his studio would not look like this. He would have a very meager existence.
No, he wouldn't even have a studio, most likely.
Yeah, he wouldn't. Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I can't even believe people actually listen to this. It's ridiculous. But we do have to move on. Again, continue to comment, guys. We're seeing your comments. We love them. Share this broadcast. If you feel so inclined to do a super chat, we certainly would appreciate that too. But most of all, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and notifications bell so you always know when we go live with new content. So we're moving on right now to the Supreme Court. So the U.S. Supreme Court just finished issuing its biggest decisions of the term, one killing President Joe Biden's $400 billion plan to cancel or reduce federal student loan debts. They also ended affirmative action in higher education and issued a major decision that impacts gay rights and religious liberties. So the court cited the First Amendment ruling that Lori Smith could not be forced by state civil rights law to design websites that run counter to her sincerely held religious beliefs. So lots to talk about there. Of course, with these rulings, the left went berserk, crazy behind what happened with these rulings, crazy behind it. So I want to go right into this. I want to talk about, this is Joy Reid talking about the affirmative action decision. Clip number 8.
Well, let me just be clear. I got into Harvard only because of affirmative action. Yep, guys, that's MSNBC's Joy-Ann Reid, who went on national television to brag about the fact that the only reason she got into Harvard was because she was black and due to affirmative action. Now, Joy, that isn't the flex that you think it is. Matter of fact, it's actually pretty damn embarrassing. And unlike you, I would honestly much rather have not achieved the accomplishment than have people wondering for the rest of my life whether or not I actually earned it or whether or not I actually just got it because I was black. Because here's the deal, and this may be the difference between me and you, Joy. I don't need my blackness to open doors for me. No, my work ethic will, my passion will, my drive will, my ambition will. That is all that I need. And the idea that black people need affirmative action just to be as good as the white man is a racist idea within itself. Wasn't the
All right, so I wanted to play a little bit more of Joy Reid's comments, but I don't think we have that. But basically, she was going crazy over the affirmative action decision, saying that she was actually hired for because of affirmative action. I want to get your response to that, Shelley.
Is this Black Women Dumb Night? I mean, not us, but seriously, because I saw that and I was almost on the floor. I mean, she doesn't even realize how dumb she sounded by saying that. The only reason they picked her out was because she was this little black thing somewhere in Denver, Colorado. These people are dumb. These people are just, they are embarrassing. I mean, I don't even have anything else to say except this. They are dumb. If you want to be dumb, hold up signs for Joy Reid and what's the other woman's name? Teslin something. When you want to talk about dumb black women, particularly, hold up their faces. Let's get some bobbleheads.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get your thoughts on Joy Reid admitting that she was hired. She was a diversity hire. She was hired for affirmative action.
Well, or that she got into college because I mean, affirmative action. That's so embarrassing. How can she even admit to that? And that is such an embarrassing thing to say. So she basically says that she wasn't smart enough. Like, that's what she's saying. And so that is...
Yeah, we know that. We can see that.
Right. But so exactly. So she doesn't even realize that she is actually proving the point that affirmative action is not good, that we shouldn't have it. So she just proved that the Supreme Court is doing its job.
Yeah, and we saw there in the Supreme Court decision, they basically said that you can't determine college admissions based on race. So it says here, many universities have for too long wrongly concluded that the touchstone of an individual's identity is not challenged, vested, skills built, or lessons learned, but the color of their skin. This nation's constitutional history does not tolerate that choice. So again, that I believe that was Justice Roberts talking in regards to that. I don't understand the issue here. I mean, I do understand people they want affirmative action, because back in the day, it was a situation where a lot of people were hiring or not admitting people based on race. But have we moved past that, Shelley? Do you in your thoughts?
Well, this is one of the ways I think we have moved past it. Justice Thomas, in his concurring opinion, I think he said it, I may not be quoting it correctly, but you don't correct a wrong by instituting another wrong. That doesn't get us anywhere, right? So from the beginning, people talk about these precedents. Precedents are basically at a point in time. Precedents are not constitutional in that they have to be followed like that, but the Constitution does. So what this decision does is it puts us back at the 13th and 14th Amendment, the equal clause protections, that we are all equal under the same Constitution. And we should not be chosen just on the basis of our skin color. And not only that, these people who are proclaiming all of the beauties of affirmative action, then when Joy Reid, a little bit longer in that clip, she talks about when she was at Harvard, how she was looked at by the other people who thought that she only got there because of her black skin, that she really wasn't smart enough. See, these are the unintended consequences of affirmative action. So when people say this, what they're saying is that black people you are dumb. You cannot achieve and succeed, and you cannot learn well enough to compete with your other American peers at their level. These are the Joy Reids and the Teslins and whomever else, the MSNBCs. These are the people who are really the racist bigots.
Well, and let's be honest now. Let's be real. You know, in actuality, can Black Americans, you know, the majority of Black Americans are taught and grow up in urban environments, in urban cities. And what are we seeing in these urban cities? They're led by Democrat Black people in leadership and power, and they are not teaching the children properly. They're passing them through. They're in poor conditions within these institutions. They're not being challenged. Now we have here in Baltimore City and cities across the country where they're actually lowering expectations for these Black and brown people. And then they expect for them to go into colleges and compete with other people who haven't had to deal with these situations. Yep. You know, so again, so there it's almost backwards. Instead of them trying to train up these people in elementary school and K through 12 and things, instead of them doing it accurately, they're trying to push people through college who really shouldn't be there.
Exactly.
So again, it's the same thing with the crime. It's as if they're doing things, they're trying to just slap a Band-Aid on something that actually needs an operation. They're not getting to solutions, real solutions. They're just throwing crap at the wall and seeing what sticks.
And always blaming somebody else for the problems.
Right. Exactly.
It's always someone else's fault that why Black students are not doing as well as white students. When actually some of the statistics came out recently in Maryland that actually even well-off students who come from well-off families are also not doing so well. Like 50% of them are not passing state exams. So the situation is actually across the board. So I mean, it's not a racial thing, and there's something going on with the families, that the way that the education system is, and with the affirmative action. Another interesting thing, I wonder what really triggered the Supreme Court, really looking into it, because I know one of the groups that was really against affirmative action were Asian Americans, because they were being discriminated against. So someone like Vivek, he's an Asian American, and so right now when they were putting Asian when applying for college, they were not looked at because there were too many Asians, according to their statistics. So that is, and so people, what I was going to say also, that this is part of Marxism, affirmative action, and it doesn't work because eventually somebody will be discriminated against, and the racism will continue. In fact, it breeds more racism.
Yeah, I want to give, I know Shelley mentioned the 14th Amendment. I want you guys to take a look at this final clip on this. This is Whoopi Goldberg on The View. This is clip number 7.
The Supreme Court has upset a 45-year precedent, ruling it unconstitutional for universities to consider race in admissions. Now, the 14th Amendment is supposed to promise equal protection. But if everyone was actually treated equally, we wouldn't have had to put in affirmative action. We wouldn't have had to do it. Right. People wouldn't have had to march and begged and gotten hosed and all of these things that people did to just balance us out with everything else going on in the country. So
again, she's using this 14th Amendment, something you said, Shelley, earlier. What's your response to that?
So my response to that, a couple things. Number one, the 14th Amendment, she didn't finish the phrase. It's equal protection under the law, okay? So what was going on was illegal, unconstitutional, and yes, people should fight back against when those things happen in our country or wherever they may be. That's number one. Number two, the people who fought, they also fought and they overturned Plessy versus Ferguson and the Brown versus Board of Education. So this is equal protection under the law for American students to be educated not by the color of their skin. Again, you don't correct a wrong by instituting another wrong. So Whoopi, you're wrong there, which doesn't surprise me. So we still have, no one is saying Black people will not be admitted. And in fact, again, I think, what's her name? Sunny. She used a quote, she quoted some statistic about Berkeley after 1998, when California got rid of, I think it was Proposition 209, when they got rid of affirmative action. They like to give you this little sleight of hand that says Black enrollment dropped. Well, that was just what you call a correction. They dropped from the schools where they were not prepared for. But overall and over time, enrollment picked up. And guess what? SAT GAT scores started closing in a little bit better after the affirmative action bill in California was canceled.
Yeah. Totally agree. So again, once again, the view has to be corrected. So it's the review for us. We review them, and when they do things like this, or when they say things that are incorrect or miscommunicate things, we review them. So we do that generally every week here. We correct the view. So we do have to move along to our last and final topic of the night, which is the 4th of July. So lots of people, we talked about the 4th of July at the beginning of the show, just talking about what we all did for the 4th of July. This 4th of July has just been, doesn't feel the same. And it may just be because a lot of people are not very patriotic. So a poll just taken says just 29% of Democrats say they're extremely proud of the country, accompanied by just 30% of independents and 60% of Republicans. So ambivalence about celebrating the 4th of July is a big reason why our country is falling apart at the seams. I want you guys to take a look at this. This is clip number 10.
So we're visiting in upstate New York near Poughkeepsie. Lots of farm country, lots of American flags and Blue Lives Matter flags, and it was really making me uneasy. And then we came to this cute little town called Hudson. I guess it's a famous whaling town. And I see a lot of flags like this. Totally felt my nerves come at ease. Isn't that interesting? I'm not even gay. I think that says a lot. When the American flag freaks me the fuck out. And I see a few pride flags, and then I know I'm among nice people. Just saying.
Really? You're not gay?
He is gay.
Okay. Okay. I want to get your thoughts on this, Yana. For you come to talk about this first. I mean,
that's so gay. Whatever he said. Well, it's just funny. Well, I gotta say, there is not enough American spirit right now. That is true. Actually, yes. And when you asked that question, I thought about right away. I thought about the Pride, the so-called Pride Month. So we just had the Pride Month right before July. So everything was about LGBT. So for a month, we were being bombarded about gay pride and trans or whatever, and all these flags everywhere. So, and then once June was over, we didn't see much American flags at all. So my family, actually, they came to visit from another country this last week, and they went to Washington, D.C., and one of the things that they noticed is that they did not see American flags. They didn't see 4th of July T-shirts or whatever, things being sold. And that's one of the things. They used to live here, so they remember how it was under Trump and how much American spirit was there, and they didn't see it this time. So, and like right away I thought, all we heard about is gay pride for a month, and now we don't hear anything about American pride.
Yeah, Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelley. I mean, on Independence Day, Congresswoman Cori Bush tweeted, "The Declaration of Independence was written by enslavers and didn't recognize Black people as human. Today is a great day to demand reparations now." Then we have Congressman Jamal Bowman from New York simply tweeted, "This July 4th, we must remember that we stand on stolen land, toiled by enslaved Africans, and recommit ourselves to the fight for freedom, equality, and justice so that these ideals are accessible to everyone, not just a privileged few. We are not free until everyone is truly free." This is what we have here.
Yeah. These people basically spit on the graves of our ancestors. And I'm talking about our ancestors, not just our founders and our forefathers, but our ancestors who literally fought for freedom. The people like Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, even W.E.B. Du Bois, Benjamin Vanderbilt, Booker T. Washington, all of these people, they have spit on their graves and their memories. These are what I call ingrates. Okay, they are ungrateful, they are arrogant, and they just spit on the graves. I detest them because guess what? They have contempt for you, for me, for our country. Yet they keep getting in office, the Cori Bushes. If she's on stolen land, please leave. Go wherever you think the land is free. Just leave. They are ungrateful hypocrites. I'm sick of them.
Right, they paint this narrative. All we hear is that our nation was founded on slavery. Our nation was founded on slavery. But we don't hear how it was also characterized like no nation before it by anti-slavery. So we don't hear how did we get here? How did we get here? It wasn't just Black people fighting for freedom. We were all fighting together.
And the thing is that I look at history a lot, and every country. So I come from Russia. I've been listening to some of the historical accounts of how Russia has started. Some of our previous leaders, like 1,000 years ago, and some of the stuff is honestly scary to listen to. Like I'm listening to this audiobook. Like, oh my God! Like times were really rough, and the leaders, the people who expanded the country or who modernized the country, they were not the nicest people. So, but that does not stop your appreciation for the country itself or your patriotism. So the same thing in America, okay, things happen in history, that every country has its own difficult history, but to use that to hate the country, you're going to destroy this country. And when they say something like, we're not free until everybody is free, that is a communist talking point. Nobody is free under communism. I'm sorry. Everybody is going to be equally not free and equally poor. And that is what they are pushing for. So these people want to destroy the country, and the only way to deal with them is to fight them.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I mean, we hear so little about how America fought for freedom, and all we hear about is slavery. And right now, we are living in one of the most free, probably the freest place on earth. And what is unique about America is that it was formulated on an ideological repudiation of oppression, and became the first society ever to foster and organize and principled movement for the abolition of slavery. We don't hear about this stuff. All we do is hear about stolen land, and Native Americans and oppression, and we're still oppressed, and white fragility, and all this type of stuff. And now what's really annoying and frustrating and angering is they're pushing it on children. They're pushing it on children. They're taking away their hope, which is something that every child should have. It comes with the innocence of childhood, hope, and they're taking that away and saying you are bound in your oppression forever, pretty much. It's sickening. So we are at the final minutes of our show. I want to get final thoughts from you all, ladies. I want to start with you, Shelley, on this. I mean, the thumbnail for the show today basically kind of said Black people should be embarrassed. And I want to just get your thoughts on that. Do you agree with that sentiment? Just from what we talked about tonight and what we see going on by these leadership in the country, in these urban communities. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think there are I think there are two strands or two modes of Black people now. People like us who are working feverishly to try to give a different narrative, to not just a narrative, but to speak the truth, to speak facts, to speak hope, right? About where we have been and where we are going, where we would like to go. Then there are the people that want to keep the people on the plantation. They need Black people in particular to stay poor, to stay ignorant in their mind, to have this hopeless worldview that really gets them nowhere. But it keeps those people like the Charlemagnes and the Teslins and whomever, the Democrat plantation, full of the slaves that they can keep working the land. But we want free. I'm free. I was born free. Does America have challenges? Absolutely. Has America had challenges? Absolutely. But even the people who signed our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence, they struggled with the slavery. Some of them called slavery was the greatest stain. They struggled with it, but they also enshrined it in our Constitution, and damn it, they fought and died for it to make us free. We had a whole civil war, and we have been free, literally physically free since then. What more do we want? We have everything at our hands and our fingertips that we can use for good. We choose not to. Why? It's easier to stay on the plantation and get fed by the slave master. Yeah, it is easier to do that than it is to get out here and pave your own way.
Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on this, Yana. I mean, my goodness, you immigrated here from Russia. I want to read to you something Ben & Jerry's put out this weekend for 4th of July. It says, this is the ice cream company. The 4th of July, the company claimed in a statement, who doesn't love a good parade, some tasty barbecue, and a stirring fireworks display? The only problem with all that, though, is that it can distract from an essential truth about this nation's birth. The U.S. was founded on stolen indigenous land. The U.S. exists on stolen land. We have to acknowledge that today and every day. So, Yana, I mean, you hear these things. Do you second guess your choice to come here?
I mean, at this point, I can't really. I mean, I came here with my family. I made this my home, and this country has a lot to offer. This country's constitution is still something that other countries do not have, and that is something that we need to protect. But this kind of sickness must be purged. This type of degeneracy that has been infiltrating this country for too long should be destroyed. And that is something that I can say. What is going on in other countries such as Russia right now, people are becoming more patriotic. I follow what is going on over there. People are patriotic regardless of what color of their skin is, because even in Russia we have a great diversity, and it needs to happen here if America wants to compete in the world. And you know about China, they're extremely patriotic. So, and something like what Ben & Jerry is saying, people who care about this country should not buy from these type of companies. So that's the only way that we can fight with them right now. So, but every person needs to mobilize, needs to stand up for this country. Otherwise, we won't have a country. And the immigrants who are coming from places that are not so good for them, they won't have a country to go to if we don't stand up and fight for it now.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show tonight. The top of the show, the name of the show tonight was Black Folk Should Be Embarrassed. And you know what? I agree with that notion, but I am not embarrassed because I do not identify with I don't identify with a community, with the Black community. I'm going to say that. I came to that realization maybe a couple of years ago that it used to be a situation where your community shared the same values as you. They shared this, things that were important to you were the same. But right now we're finding, or at least some of us are finding, within the Black community, that's not the case. You know, we don't share the common values anymore. We don't share that. And so my community, you know, you guys say I talk about God too much, but my community, my identity is through the Christ and God. And so that's where I find my community. So, you know, I'm not so much embarrassed for the Black community. I pray for them. And I hope that, you know, community as a whole wakes up and realizes that this type of narratives that we continue to follow, and continue to follow these people are leading us down a dark and dangerous road, as Yana said, that it's not going to be any type of progression or forward progression for us, for our children, for generations to come. So that does it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Continue the conversation by checking us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and subscribe. That way you get up-to-the-minute content when we post, and we appreciate the support. We are an independent media, and each time you subscribe, it helps to make our voice that much stronger. Independent media is where it's at right now. So we definitely have to continue to support. Again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. We are not bought or paid for or supported. Well, we're supported, but we're not bought and paid for by anybody. So we can talk about what we want to talk about. We can say what we want to say, and we're not held down by some corporate structure. But we do support. We do appreciate the support. You can support us by either donating or subscribing or sharing this video with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night. Oh, we do have a super chat. So let me, let me see here before I let you go. Sorry about that. Oh, right. Thank you. She says, because I came in late, keep doing great work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rye. Certainly appreciate you checking in on us and commenting, and definitely appreciate the support. So thank you. Thank you so much. All right. And everybody else who continues to support us, I see you guys on here. Everrice, AB, Rye. I see you guys. You guys come back week after week. Certainly appreciate you. Got some new people tonight. Pop World TV. Sherry, see you on here. Kenzie 14, thanks again for stopping by. Renee Jones, love you guys. We certainly appreciate it. So we'll see you again next week.